Cayman Rucker.
That's apropos today.
Yep.
That was planned.
It was good. It was good to have him back.
Is he really that big a difference maker for you?
Cayman's a really good player. I think he had all the preseason accolades, well-deserved, well-earned. I've heard people refer to him as arguably college football's dominant pass rusher. I think you just saw Saturday in the run game, in the pass game, even in coverage, he was making an impact all over the field, executing clean, playing hard, playing physical. Obviously, he's got a dominant trait as a pass rusher, but just his physicality in the run game and just understanding just ball, the interception that he had, that was beautiful, right? It was a decent call, but the execution around him and then him having the awareness of, we had worked that route all week versus that defense. Thursday, hit him right in the hands and dropped it on the exact same play.
He said it.
And then he said that. And then, came up with the pick on Saturday. But just very proud of him. Glad he's back 100%. And, just excited to see him continue to impact games. And, I think everybody, played really well on Saturday. And I think just the confidence of having, 7 back out there was good for everybody.
What about Jabari's return, and who was moving faster there for a while? Him or you down the sideline?
Yeah, so in real time, great play by Jabari, right? Great play, getting his hands on the ball, having the athleticism to tip it to himself and then catch it, and then slide, give a stiff arm to the quarterback, and then run 85 yards was very impressive. Was proud of Will Hardy on the play, getting a clean block to get it started, and then Amari Campbell doing a great job. He was actually the blitzer on the play, tracking back and getting the final blow to lead him to the end zone. But I told my wife when I got home, I was like, I thought that I was flying down the sideline. And then I get on the bus and Jabari shows me the Sports Center clip, and I'm like, I wasn't moving as fast as I thought I was. Cam Spence, our D-line GA, he passes me by like 7 yards, and I thought I was rolling, but obviously I was not. But Jabari was, and that's a 300-pound man running that fast and that smooth and all those kind of things. So he's.
You think like Mac did, he's going to run out of gas a little bit now and maybe step up?
I don't know that. I was trying to make sure I was running and escorting, keeping everybody off the sideline, so he could. We didn't get a penalty or anything like that. So it was a great play. And the thing that we preach in our room all the time, in our unit meetings, is NFL scouts spend a lot of time trying to figure out how fast these kids are. And when you have long plays, whether it be something bad happens to you or something good happens to you, and you have long plays that you can show how fast you are, that's huge for your draft stock. Not to mention how athletic the play was, but just showing how fast a 300-pound man can run. And then Will Hardy, Amari, and the rest of them that were escorting him showed how fast.
Offensive lineman chasing him.
What's that?
That was a 300-pound offensive lineman that was chasing him.
Yeah, and then Amari got the block. Yep,
230 blocking 310 on that.
it was really good, really good.
Is it fair to say that, I know the offensive guys, they all have their responsibilities, but when Cayman's on the field, there's just a lot more eyeballs on them.
Sure.
And how does, in pre-snap, how does that help everybody else?
Yeah, I think anytime that you have, we've got a lot of great players on our defense. And I think, we move stress around as much as we do, but anytime there's a focal point, I think it helps everybody.
And there's 2 games that he's been 100% basically.
Right.
Minnesota the other day.
Yep.
That's not a coincidence.
Sure.
The effect that he has just overall,
Right.
it has to be highly significant and representative in the numbers that we've seen,
Right.
those 2 games as opposed to in between.
Yeah, and I don't want to take anything away from anybody else, but Cayman is a great player. I'm glad he's back healthy and excited to see what we can do together moving forward. Absolutely.
Geoff, when it comes to the 10 sacks that you guys got,
Yep.
and even the other tackles for loss, things like that, I think one thing that we've kind of talked about and asked about is gap control, things like that. What did you make of, I guess, the gap control specifically that kind of allowed for those 10 sacks to happen the other day?
And I've said along that I think we have a really good defensive line. and I thought they played their best on Saturday, controlling blocks, being physical. We talked all week about a bull rush is a good rush, and they applied that thought process throughout the game. A lot of our pressures were coming just straight bull rushing guys, and being physical and not losing contain, because that quarterback, he's slippery. He got out on us twice, but just a bull rush was a good rush the entire game. And just the discipline that the guys played with. I was really proud of Des Evans, how disciplined he played in the run game, how disciplined he played in the pass game, which was awesome to see. And all of them did the same thing. There's plays, Josh Harris, Scoob, KJ Hester, just being so physical at the nose guard position and just knocking people back and then just getting consistent pressure so that quarterback could not step up in the pocket. Javari Rich, we've already talked about, and Travis Shaw in the interior. I thought they had great games.
When you kind of, and just real quick, when you think back on, last week's practice week,
Sure.
Was there anything different that you kind of noticed about the defense's, approach, and what from that did you see that allowed them to be as aggressive?
Well,
as they
one of the big things that I wanted to focus on in the bye week and in the week leading up into the game is showing these guys how good they are. Like, we spent a lot of time, every day was about 10 to 12 plays, showing them at times during the season when they have been a dominant unit. And I just kept showing it to them over and over and over again. Sure, we've had, stretches where there's 3 or 4 plays or there's uncharacteristic bust or trying to do too much or whatever. But when they're on and they're just out there playing ball, they're really, really good. So it was 10 to 12 plays every day of showing them what they can be and what they should be. Then on Friday, one of our recruiting dudes, Julian, put together a 6-minute video of their combined high school highlight tapes. And we put that on and just let it roll. We had I think we started with Kenny Chesney, Boys of Fall. That lasted for about 40 seconds. And then we cranked it up and played some of the good stuff. And just the energy and the vibe in the room. They loved watching each other play. They loved watching themselves play. And just cut it loose and do that. Let's not worry about all this other stuff. Let's just go out there and play ball and play at a high level, because you're great players. And when you're all playing great together, the result will be what the result is. And so just that, hopefully we can just continue to do that, where they just cut it loose, execute clean. We called a lot of defense on Saturday, and we were calling all kind of blitzes and stunts and all that stuff, but they executed clean and played really fast and really hard.
So basically just a little highlight. So was it pretty much everything?
Yeah, it was there. It was the huddle with the little thing pop up on them, and then all the different. There's even some the huddle soundtrack on some of them that we just let play too, and so it was a good time. Good time.
Cayman referenced that Saturday after the
Did he?
game.
What did he say?
He just basically said that it made him play freer, looser, and have more fun, like it was in high school when they were just dominating. They knew they were
Just go play. Just go play.
Does this just speak to the psychology of football?
Probably.
It's got to be huge, especially what you guys have been through the last 5 or 6 weeks.
Yep, 100%. I just think the leadership in the room and just buying into doing whatever, just play the call. You're great players, just play the call, execute. Like Jacoby Cowan, his great tackle for loss that he made, he was actually setting the pick for somebody else. Well, he set the pick as hard as he could, and the play happened to be there. He made the play, and it was a great play. And then on another one, when Jacoby caused the fumble, we didn't get it, it bounced the wrong way, but he retraced, he set the edge, he retraced, got the fumble, just executing clean, and let the play make itself and just execute. And I was really proud of them how they did that on Saturday.
Staying on that a little bit, was that the best you guys have done at kind of building a web around the quarterback?
Absolutely. Yep, a bull rush was a good rush on Saturday. And we kept preaching that all week, and we might get t-shirts made or something, because a bull rush ended up being a good rush on Saturday.
Jeff, you talk about calling a lot of defense on Saturday, but if I'm remembering correctly, I think Kanan told us after the game that he felt like it was almost a more simplified overall approach.
Awesome.
He said, it wasn't very complicated that day.
It was day one install. It was day one install. We just layered it out and layered it through and cycled through calls, and they played really well.
You mentioned that last week, the day one install. You mentioned that last week.
Yep.
And sometimes it's just go back to the basics
Yep.
and kind of clear some of the clutter.
100%.
Wow.
Geoff,
What I was gonna say,
Sorry.
I mean, I know hindsight's so, it's
Right.
2020. But, I mean, do you think, having seen what you saw Saturday, that maybe taking a step back, a proverbial step back to go forward, is what will click with this group?
Right.
Maybe? I don't know.
They've been awesome. And we do a self scout. I don't want to get it too deep into the analytics and all those kind of things, but the multiplicity of calls versus the formations, we were hitting one timers. So it wasn't like calling the same defense over and over. It was cycling through day one installs calls, and they did great with it. And the multiplicity combined with the simplicity, they did great.
Geoff, looking at Florida State, I think their offense probably looks a little different today than Coach Norvell and guys thought it would back in August. They have new quarterbacks.
Sure.
They're playing a lot of younger guys on offense. What do you like? What are your early impressions of them on that side?
Sure, they've got, I think everybody would agree when they turn on the tape, there is talent all over the field. I mean, they are fast guys that are playing really, really hard, very athletic, big physical offensive line, two young quarterbacks that are very talented and can run pretty well too. So they're really good, really talented. They've got players all over the field. They get them out in space. Their multiplicity of what they do. So we've got our work cut out for us, and we got to play our game.
Did you have any crossover with Norvell when he was at Memphis and you were at Temple? Did you guys?
We never. The way the Americans set up, that you only play 4 teams from the other side, and they split it home and away, and then you do it the other home and away. I missed them for 2 years, so we didn't play them either time. COVID year, we went down there. When I was at Georgia Tech, we went down there and played, but have a lot of respect for Coach Norvell. Quick little memory, ACC head coaches meetings 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was, we have a head coaches function, and we have a head coaches dinner one night. And it's me, Mac Brown, and of course Norvell sitting there at the dinner table, having a good conversation, hanging out. All the ACC head coaches are in there, and that conversation goes for about an hour. Just us three sitting there, just talking and whatever. And I look around, I didn't even notice there was nobody left in the room. It was just us three sitting there chopping it up and talking ball and about our programs, whatever. Really learning from Coach Brown. That's a distinct memory. So I've got a tremendous amount of respect for him, like him a lot, him and his wife, and so.
That's like a great date. when you're so into it that you just don't know. I mean, it is.
Just dudes being dudes.
Yeah.
So,
Jeff, I wanted to get to the 2 young quarterbacks for State.
Sure.
How do you prep for those 2 guys? Obviously, both of them played against Miami.
Yep. And they've cycled in and out, but just trying to find. I think they're trying to find out what they can do best, how to build the offense around their talents, because they're very talented. So what is the best thing for them? Being young, being inexperienced, what can they do to help get the ball to their really good skill guys? So they're trying to figure it out, and we've got to get ready for a lot of things that they do, because they do a lot of offense, they do a lot of formations, they do a lot of shifts, they do a lot of motions, they do a lot of stuff. So what is it that each kid does best, and how do we think they're going to attack us, and be ready to handle all of those things and make adjustments and play ball.
Geoff, how did you feel Ty Adams played the other day? He had the obviously extended run because of the injury.
Sure.
What were your, watching live, watching on film, how did you think he played?
So this should be a great compliment to Ty. When the game started and he was in, I didn't think about him one time. So a lot of times as a play caller, coaches will let me know certain guys are in. Well, there's certain things that I'll do to help them or help the defense because of them. I would just call the game. I didn't think about him one time, and I think that's a huge compliment. And he was out there playing at a really high level. His last 2 weeks of practice, he's made a couple of the nicest interceptions that I've seen made in ball. So very proud of the way he played, his attitude, his demeanor, and hopefully it's a life lesson. But his level of preparation the last 2 weeks went through the roof because he knew he was going to play. So just kind of note to young guys, prepare that way every week, right? And then you might get a little more burn even sooner, but we're very proud of the way he played, his attitude, his demeanor, his confidence. He's ridiculously talented, but just the preparation, attitude, and demeanor were off the charts, and I was really proud of him.
Geoff, the eternal question, the eternal sports writing question, in terms of the feeling this group has right now,
Sure.
and the production you were able to
Sure,
generate,
sure.
how do you keep it going?
Yeah, I think it's just process, confidence, belief, all of those kind of things. The talent, the matchup of scheme and ability has been there the entire time, and just cutting it loose and just trusting your abilities relative to the knowledge of what you have and going out and executing. It all came together. Now we've got to bottle that up and do it again and just repeat the process. I thought the first 3 weeks of the season, it was there. It slipped a little bit when some bad things happened to us and we start worrying about other things instead of just executing and playing ball. We got it back the following 3 games, a majority of the time, and just bottling up so we just do it all the time. That'll be the challenge. And Coach Max talked about to the team and to the coaching staff, the consistency of your performance, the discipline to have that, and then having joy to just go out there and ball out with your brothers. Combine that and let's go play.
I don't know if this is something you've noticed, but it seems like the snowball effect, whether good or bad, can hit this team when it gets rolling one way.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? If it's going good, it's going good, and sometimes if it's going bad, it's off the cliff a little bit.
Yep, and so just the confidence in that's one play. Whether it's good or whether it's bad, it was one play. Let's just put the ball down and go out there and execute and play fast and free again. Whatever the result of that play is, has zero bearing on the following play. And I think hopefully seeing that in real time will help them, hey, okay, that's one play, good or bad, we still got to put the ball down and go play the next one, regardless, so hopefully it gives them confidence in the leadership, can echo that sentiment. Because one thing for us to say it, but it's another thing for the fellas that are out there on the field together to be able to regroup, and execute that way.
So going back to that dinner with the 3 coaches. that you were
Okay.
talking about, I mean, be honest with us, at some point, the 2 of you look at Mac and go, Mac, we gotta go to bed at some point.
I thought it was cool to hang out in the background and talk ball, so it was a good night.
How much of that hour plus was him talking? How much was
I got
You're
no
not allowed to
comment.
answer that question.
Tommy's got one more, and that'll be it.
I try to be a good listener.
Very good answer.
You mentioned Ty on one side, you didn't really worry about him over there. When you got Huzzy on the other side,
Yep.
you just you go do your thing.
And then we had it because number 8 for them is a great player. So a lot of time in the game we were having Huzzy, and it was the game plan. Huzzy was just tracking number 8, and then they kept moving 8 around. And then they put 8 in the slot at times, and so Huzzy had a tremendous game. He played lights out, and really, and Huzzy's such a great player that he doesn't get a ton of action, So, but he, just kind of like KJ Hester. You don't notice him. Sometimes that's a good thing because he's being a dominant player. So I've been really proud of Elijah. Obviously, as a returner, everybody knows that. But as a dominant corner, he's really good.
Have you played matchups much this year?
We have. But sometimes they, offenses spread the wealth and they have good players at every spot. But number 8, I think he was 3rd in the ACC in catches going into the game, 600 yards or something like that. So he was the dominant receiver, for them. And knowing Marcus was going to be limited, we wanted to make sure. So a lot of times we just, play our sides or play field and boundary, whatever. But in that game, 8 was a problem. He's really good.
All right?
Thank you guys. Thank you all.